I've had a few people ask me recently, what can they do to improve the viewer retention on their videos? What does that mean? That means retaining people on the video and having them watch more of it. So they get to the beginning of the video, we've got a good search term, we've got a great thumbnail, you're getting those views and conversions and clicks across, but then they're only watching a few seconds of it and disappearing and they're not watching the rest, so you're not getting any watch time. How can we fix this? Stick around and I'll show you. Now, before I get started talking about viewer retention, just a quick reminder, if you've got any questions or anything during this video, leave them in the comment section below. I will read through them and I'll get back to as many of them as I can. Also, hit the rest of those buttons down there, and of course subscribe if you want to watch more of my videos in the future. That would be awesome. Okay, let's start talking about viewer retention. I'm going to start by drawing you a pretty picture. Now, this is a graph that you can find in your analytics. It's got two axes, like most decent graphs do, and this one down here is the number of your viewers that are watching. So let's start at 100% up the top here and 0% down here. Obviously you don't want to go to 0%. And this axis along here is time, and let's say this is a 5-minute video. So here we're starting at 0 minutes, so we've got 5 minutes over here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There we go. Now, what's happening with a lot of these videos is that somebody will come along, they get the click in, all of you people start watching it, and then straight away it drops down to there and goes like that and then disappears. So you've got everyone who's come to the video starts watching it, but they've all clicked off by about 20 seconds. And you don't really want that. Now, the reasons that people click away are usually fairly common. You've got a long, boring introduction, or you don't introduce your video. You start begging for subscriptions and likes and things like that right at the beginning. That's not what the viewer has come to look at in your video. You've created a really good title and you've created a thumbnail that says, I'm going to tell you there's something about this. You know, I've got this really good subject here and I'm going to show you about these lenses or this camera or this clapperboard or whatever I've got on the shelf. These books, they're cool too. Your video needs to start straight away talking about what you're going to answer. So your viewer comes along, they've got a question and you want to affirm for them, hey, this is the question you've got, I'm going to tell you the answer about it. I did that right at the beginning of this video, didn't I? What you want to try and do is get a graph that looks a bit more like this. When all of your viewers come along, you want to try and get them more along this kind of line. So you've got about 50% of your viewers still watching at the end. If you can do that, you're doing a really good job. So what you want to think about is, where along this timeline are you losing people? Different videos have different drop-off points. So obviously you're going to lose some viewers at the beginning because they click on it thinking, oh, this might be a video I'm interested in, and then they'll change their mind or somebody will disturb them or something like that about here. And you're going to lose this list pretty quickly. What you want to do is try and reduce this rate of drop. The more that you can keep up to the first 30 seconds, the less likely they are to disappear later on. That's typically what I've found anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to start breaking your video up into different segments and having a look at how you're going to, first of all, keep your viewers in those first really critical seconds, and then how you're going to try to give them a reason to stay through the rest of your video. And here's one way I find quite useful. I'm going to have a look here again at your video, and what I'm going to do is just give you that 5-minute timeline again. So here's your beginning of your video, and here's 5 minutes. And what I'd suggest that you do is you take the first 20 to 30 seconds, so just this bit here, and do that in intro. Now in that intro you want to ask the question that you're going to answer in the rest of the video. Then you can use about 10 or 15 seconds. So I'll put that at 20 seconds. Then about 10 or 15 seconds here. This is where you can do your intro graphic. So that's where you want to do something like branding, something that's familiar. It's a good idea to do that, just don't drag it out. 10 or 15 seconds is more than enough. Go have a look at Peter McKinnon, go have a look at some of the old Casey Neistat stuff, and you'll see that they're using a very quick, snappy branding thing. It's enough that you are recognizing it and it's familiar. It makes you feel like you're at home. This is the video that you're on, and you've tagged it as your space. You only need to spend that much time. Don't put things like don't put things like me and all of those begging things. Leave them completely out of it. We'll get back to some of that later. You do want to have those in there, but you want to do it in the right place that doesn't put people off carrying on. Let's get back to the timeline. Okay, once you're in here and you've done your 15-second intro and you've done your splash, we'll call that a splash, put it here. I hope you can read this okay, but it looks okay to me. And once you've got this in here, then you've got the rest of your video. Say you're about half a minute in, you've got about 4 and a bit minutes left. What you want to do now is just a really quick piece into here, and that's a welcome. Now in your welcome you're going to be saying, hey, how you going? You relate to the people, make a connection, look straight down the barrel of your camera and just say, how's your day going? Really good to see you again. Now quickly before I get into this, like I did at the beginning of this video, I asked you to put some questions down in the comments below. I'm engaging with you and then I'm asking you to engage back with me. We're getting that connection going. Not everybody's going to do it, but if you ask them to, it's more likely to happen. Let me know if there's anything you want to know. What do you want from me? That's where to put it down below. And when you're doing that, not only are you creating a connection with the people, but you're improving your engagement score. Every time somebody puts something in the comments or clicks on the like or even the dislike, actually they're the same thing as far as YouTube cares, anything like that at all is counted as an engagement score, and the larger the percentage of the people viewing your video are engaging with your video, the more likely YouTube are to publish that out and say, people are engaging with this, let's see who else wants to engage with it. So they'll push it out to some people who have the same demographics as the people who are watching it. They'll also go and try it with some slightly different audiences which have a similar but different demographic. This is how your video can start to grow and get more traction and things like this. And the more that keeps happening, the better. And by putting that welcome in at the beginning, you're going to get people interacting back with you. And then if they come and ask you a question, you can then go and answer that question in the comments. And when you answer that question, finish it by asking them another one. So they might say, what sort of camera are you using? You can then say, I've got a Sony a7S II. Or you could say, I've got a Sony a7S II, what have you got? You're asking them another question, they're going to come back hopefully with a second response. That's more engagement. Every time you get one of these, they're also going to watch the video again, because when they come back to read your response, it loads the video player, doesn't it? Good trick, eh? Anyway, let's carry on and have a look at what you do after the welcome. Now, after you've done the intro and the question, you've put your splash through, you welcome people and you've asked them to leave comments and stuff, then what you want to do is a bit of an outline to say what you're going to talk about in the video. And it's a good idea, and this is, I'll just put outline here. And what you want to do is tell people that you're going to talk about maybe 3 or 4 different points. Now the reason for this is if you can enumerate the remainder of your content, it gives people a set of things that are defined that they want to stick around for. If you can also say, and right at the end we're going to draw a prize or announce something or something like that, that gives them something to stick to right through to the end as well. You don't want to do that all the time, only if it's legitimate. Don't tag people along if you're not actually going to give a great realization. Say that you might have 5 points that you're going to cover. Then you go, here's the first point, and tell them about it. Now here's the second point, tell them about that. Here's the third point. We've got 2 more to go. Boom, boom. Remind them you've got some more to go. Now people are going to stick and watch one point. Then they'll stick and watch the next point. Then they're more likely to stick and watch the third, fourth, or fifth point. And then you can give them a summary at the end and engage them to stay longer. So enumerating content means you're breaking the content up into a specific number of blocks of content, and you're telling your viewer that up front, because then they have an expectation that they're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they're more likely to stick around and watch that. Not everybody's going to, of course, but the number that do has just increased for you. So what we've got here now is we've got the intro and question, the splash, the welcome, the outline, and when you are promising the content, and then you've got a set of blocks through your content that cover off a defined set of points. Not only does this give your viewer a reason to stick around for a particular number of points, it also gives you a really good way of organizing what you're going to be talking about before you start. And that means that what you're talking to your audience about is a lot more comprehensive and cohesive and more easily understood, basically. I shouldn't really use the big words if I don't need to. I can't help it. Anyway, now that you've delivered your content, there's one more bit you want to do right at the end of your video. Now this is a bit where you've got 20 seconds at the end here, and I see so many people aren't doing this, and they're not putting in the end screen. There you go, end screen. Now what is the end screen? The end screen is a piece of overlay on your video that YouTube puts over it, which has got some links to other things, and it can be a link to your subscribe, it can be a link to another one of your videos, it can be a link to someone else's video or to a playlist that you've got. Your end screen is what gets your viewers from the end of your video to the beginning of one of your new videos, or gets them to subscribe. And they look a bit like this. Basically it's a frame of your video, and you can put your subscribe button here, for example, and you might put a video up here, another video down here, and you might have yourself talking here. Now if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that that's what I use for my end screen template. It's exactly the same each time, but the purpose of this is pretty clever, because this one here is always a subscribe, this one here is always my latest video, and this one here is a related video. So what I'm doing is I'm using the end of every video to try and get you to come along and have a look at some of my other videos. Keeps people in continuity, and it also helps them find more information about something that they're actually interested in. That's a really cool thing to do, and you're going to retain your viewers longer. And if you're linking viewers from one of your videos to more of your videos, YouTube can see that. They do lots of really clever stuff, and they'll think, hey, people want to keep watching more of this guy's stuff, and they're going to start promoting you again. That's exactly what you want out of all of this, is you want YouTube to see this stuff's happening, and this is exactly what they're looking for. And when they do see it happening, they're going, this is somebody people want to watch, we'll give it to more people. And you're in recommended, and you're on the home page, and you start trending maybe. Who knows? There's one more wee bit you want to do in here, and it's really quick. And it might do something like this. This is a sort of an outro where you say thanks. Outro, and I'll just put in here, enumerated content. I'm not very quick at writing. And this outro goes something like this. I hope you've learned something really useful in this video. If you have, and you want to see more of my videos, click down here at the subscribe button. See, it came up. And click on this video, which is something that's related to what you're interested in. And of course this one here. And you're going to learn even more stuff about all of this stuff. And I'll see you in my next video. That was really quite cunning, wasn't it? Smooth.